Hello, and welcome to the next in our series of our survival starter bases, in which we run around, gather all the materials, and build things in survival mode, just to show you that it is indeed possible. And hopefully, you might even learn something on the way.
We have a semi-tutorial where we show you how to build the base as we go along.
Yes, I am Equal Play,
I'm Twixtrue.
and together we are Curious Gamers.
Yay!
So, this is our starter house done in a swamp biome.
It's not just any starter house though.
It's not. It's an entire base. It's not just an entire. It's an entire resort.
We built a resort as a starter base, but it's not that
did.
difficult. It really isn't that difficult. You can probably do it within the first week or two if you play Minecraft a little bit.
Yeah, and I know it looks a bit overwhelming, but we're going to break it down and do it step by step. So, like, I am not a very confident builder, but this is my build. This is my first one of these. I'm very proud of it. And as you can see, it's perfectly doable.
Ah.
So this is a abandoned beach house resort.
Yeah, with the beach house being your main starter house, and the resort's just like the rest.
Yeah, and it's coming up to Halloween, so we thought if we make something a bit abandoned, we would do something a bit different. So we added a little bit of narrative, and yeah, here we are.
Should we get to work?
Yeah, so there is a little bit of an added secret on this one to add to some atmosphere. So I have actually hidden a zombie near the base. Not too close that you can't sleep, but close enough that you can hear the scary noises. So we'll show you how to do that as well.
Now let's get to work?
Yes, I suppose the first thing we should do is think about the materials. So the next section we're going to cover is all about the biome and the materials.
And the inspiration, obviously.
Oh, and obviously.
So we are clearly building in a swamp biome. So why did we choose this biome?
I really wanted to be inspired this time by sort of something a little bit seasonal, and it's coming up to Halloween. But of course, this is a great build at any time. So yeah, it was that Halloween. I really liked the muted colours that are in the area.
Those muted colours really help with the decayed look, don't they?
It does, yeah. So yeah, that wonderful Halloweeny feel of things being a little bit creepy, things being not quite right. So I figured a swamp would be the perfect biome for that.
Yeah, it's actually not a biome that I would choose to build in particularly very often because of the muted colours and stuff, but it is actually perfect for this sort of build.
Yeah, definitely.
But it also kind of has limited materials. So what materials did you choose and why?
Once I picked the biome, I then had a look at what materials there were locally. So native to a swamp, you do get some really unique things actually. So there's clay. Blue orchids only appear in the swamp biome.
They're my favourite flower.
They're my favourite flower too. And they turn into a lovely light blue dye. So basically anything I'm going to use dye for is going to be that light blue. And then you've got plenty of oak and oak leaves and vines. Vines are actually very easy to gather from a swamp. You got dead bushes, lily pads, and then you've got slime, and you get sugarcane, which is fairly abundant in the area as well. So those were sort of my starting materials before I started thinking about what I was going to make.
Oak, I mean a lot of stone, clearly, because you can get that anywhere. And that's a great starter house material, like oak and stone and a couple of woods.
Oh, yeah, of course. So anything that you can mine underneath. Then, those were really my starting materials, and then I really had to think about what I wanted to build from there.
So it's a bit of an odd concept. Why pick something so abandoned as a starter base? What was your inspiration?
So, first and foremost, it was like I wanted to do something abandoned and thinking about what sort of things. And then because I knew I wanted a swamp, first thing I did, of course, is I went to Google and I had a look at Minecraft swamp biomes and swamp builds. So I got some from YouTube. There's a couple of different pictures from other builders. And then I started thinking about what else was out there. And actually, for my birthday, I got this little Minecraft book called Minecraft Bite-Sized Builds. And in one of they've got this lovely little tropical beach chalet. And then that made me think about all these pictures I've seen of these really lush, amazing luxury places. So somewhere like in Bora Bora, you've got all these cute little sort of shanty houses on stilts. And I thought, oh, do you know what would be a really good story? Is if this was once a lush, amazing tropical area, and then due to reasons, climate change, whatever, it's become a swamp. And so everyone's left, no one holidays here anymore. And all of these buildings have become decrepit. And then someone has come along, found the place and moved in because all the buildings are kind of more or less there. And they're just sort of cobbled together and started to make a little home for themselves. And so that's kind of the concept that I took the story and just ran with that.
It's a really cool little story and narrative behind the build. I have to say, when you first mentioned this is what you wanted to do, I was like, oh no, how are we ever going to pull this off?
Well, I think we've done an all right job, yeah. But then I started having to think about what additional materials that we're going to need for this build. And so that's when I was like, okay, we're going to need more wood types. So, of course, we have to go and get some dark oak and birch. Of course, we're going to need spruce.
Obviously. What build doesn't need spruce?
No, but what's great in this case is spruce looks like wet dark oak. So it just really adds to that damp feeling. And then, of course, where you've got damp, you've got moss. So, of course, I had to go looking for moss once again. I had to go find another sunken ship.
Joy, it's going to be so much easier when there's just lush caves and stuff and we know where to get the swamp.
Oh, God, yeah, that is going to be a lot easier because, once again, that was quite a trek and a couple of different shipwrecks to find the moss.
Well, that's nothing compared to the treks you sent me on after deciding that you then wanted cobwebs and things like coral.
I do appreciate your help with this.
She's like, just go and get me some cobwebs.
Well, naturally, if you're not pushed to a release schedule like we are, this is a really nice, easy starter base where you can just go out and get your materials and enjoy the game. But no, we have to push it out quickly, don't we?
Luckily, there was an abandoned mineshaft nearby, so cobwebs weren't that much. There were so many spider spawners in it as well. It was a scary place down there.
And of course, the dead coral, dead trees, although they're, again, quite a lot of them in the area, so it wasn't too bad. I did find a pumpkin in the local area as well, and that was fantastic. So pumpkins, they're just kind of random. They're quite rare. You can get pumpkin seeds sometimes in chests, but
yeah, I actually got us melon seeds from a loot chest in the mines.
Anyway, here's a vague materials list. So this is just for the main house build. So this doesn't include any of the farms, the terraforming, the docks, or any of the rest of it. However much materials you gather, get twice as much as you think you need. Because generally, even after that rule, you still run out and need to go and get more.
Oh yeah, we had to farm moss for a little bit just because we wanted mossy cobble and stuff like that.
Yeah, so we did have to stop a few times and go and chop down a lot more forests, but we won't subject you to the entirety of that video.
And we won't subject you to the decimation of an entire coral reef either.
So I then went on to make some more moss, as we mentioned. I did get one moss block, and then I had to make myself some bone meal using a composter so that I could spread the moss. And then flower pots. So using the clay in the local area, I had to dig that up to turn it into balls, put that into a furnace to make clay bricks, and then turn 3 of those into a flower pot.
I know you were outraged when I told you how to make flower pots.
I've never made one before, so this is great for me as well. And yeah, so that's the basic materials, and yeah, then I guess we need to get on with the build.
Yay, let's get building.
So the first thing I did was built a little platform with little legs, And I also made a little area where the mine is going to start. Then I started on the initial shape. So this one was very much based on the bite-sized book. And I just basically did a very, very simple outline.
So this is pretty much what the book suggests, just different materials.
Yeah. Ignore that block at the front. That's not supposed to be there.
Are you still following the principles that we were talking about last week of, start with a basic shape?
Yes. So step 1 was that very, very basic shape. Step 2, I then added shape. So this is where there was little balconies put in, and I actually removed part of the roof. And this is where you can really see the inspiration from the other Minecraft builds have really come in with this roof shape.
Yeah, that sloping roof.
Yeah, so I turned it into a proper straight triangle. But I also added a bit more of this front veranda, and that's from the Minecraft book, and I thought that just added so much more interest. There's a couple of signs and everything. It was quite I really love how in Minecraft you take a material and you just completely change it and use it for something totally different.
Well, that's what I was saying. Like, I find it really quite limiting playing other games where you've got to put a certain building material in a certain spot for a certain use. I'm like, why can't I use that as a shelf?
And then so then I built up the other side again, building up that bit of wall, and then I decided that with that it needed another balcony on the other side because the build was it's just so tiny that it did need
A lot of space.
a little bit more space. So I gave it a little bit of a chimney and then started knocking in more detailing. So I'm adding a lot more texturing. So I just bashed some bricks out and replaced them.
That's all that texturing is. You randomly bash bricks about and put different ones in.
Oh, definitely. But what's interesting is even though it's got that extra texture in, I think as a learning from experience, the thing I would change is I would take these posts, the posts on each corner out one and set the stone walls as a recess.
A little bit like the one, so I've replicated your house a little bit in the background while you've been building this one, and yeah, I've done that, set them out a little bit to give it a bit of depth.
Yeah, and I think that little bit of depth would have really helped. But because I was following the book, and they didn't do that. So this is the downside to sometimes when you follow something too closely. But I know in the future that's a better idea, so I'll learn from that moving forward. But yeah, with the roof, just putting in a little bit more texturing everywhere, and there's just lots of little details. And then I saw on one of the builds there were these really cute little seats using campfires. I did extend them out,
I really like those sun loungers.
and as you can see, I've done to the inside as well, so this is functional. My cute little sofa, and then I've got to leave it there to decay.
You want it to be green.
No, not fully green, but because this is going to be an abandoned place, I did want it to start looking a little bit more mottled and
Green.
well,
Yeah, mottled.
green. And of course, you could take it to that and then you could leave it. That could be your main base because the next step from that was then ruining. So this is turning the base into an abandoned base.
So you're taking your wonderful build and destroying it.
I'm adding in the spruce. I'm making it so that some of the stripping some of the logs down, and then just really taking some of the detail and then making it look a little bit more distressed. And then adding a bit of moss, cobwebs. I decided I wanted a little bit of dead vegetation, and I literally just stuck a hole in the roof. And then, of course, so a lot of that water is then pouring through, and that is basically the main build. So once the build was all done, it is tiny. So I then decided that what I really needed was storage. And so I built a cellar. And this was originally it was going to be a wine cellar, and I really loved this dripping roof that you get.
Yeah, really
and it was
cool.
actually really hard to keep that dripping while not making it too obvious from the other side.
Yeah, no, it's really cool. I really like that as a storage.
And then once again, I just textured it, and that was pretty much done. That took a surprising amount of time in real life. I mean, seeing it sped up, it's nothing, but
Digging out holes always takes long, especially when you're still on iron, because we did not find a single diamond this time.
oh God, no, we didn't. So we had to stick with what we found. You know what? Sometimes I question our sanity on doing all this in survival mode. So I did promise a secret and a hidden zombie.
Good.
So what this was I was building a little underground place, and there is a door, a gate, and a trapdoor next to stone pressure plates. And so basically, while I was up there, I could hear a zombie, so I knew there was a zombie in here. So then what happened was our internet stopped working.
Obviously.
I disconnected when I was stood next to the zombie, naturally, and completely died.
Con, you were dead.
And then I was dead, and it was both a blessing and a curse, because then the zombie picked up literally all of my armor and then was wearing it, so it was fine. It had a little hat on, but I did manage to get it inside. So now, when you're in the building, you can hear zombie moans, and you can hear the occasional door opening and trapdoor going.
It's really
so
quite
it's
spooky.
adding to the ambience, and yeah, when we were then working on some of the other areas, you could hear it. It was really good. So while I was doing this main part of the build, I set you the task of terraforming the area and doing like
Doing the rest.
other...
What you did was
doing the rest.
So yeah, I started by laying out because we wanted this to be a resort, which means we needed a layout for where docks were going to go and buildings were going to go and stuff like that. So once I'd done my layout, I looked at your building and basically wanted to replicate the same idea but slightly smaller, as if yours is the main build and these were just like additional holiday apartment type places. So I built a small replica and then I did it on the other side too. And this is the idea, is that these are going to all be in a different state of ruin, and yours is where you live and the rest is farms and where we keep animals and things like that.
So yeah, the person that came along afterwards has utilised the existing buildings that are there.
Yeah. And then you had the wonderful idea that one of our animal pens would be in a swimming pool. So I made us a little swimming pool area, a spa area of the resort, where this would be a swimming pool with a little bar area that we would repurpose for our animals.
Yeah, I really liked that, and I thought again that reuse of what was there, and someone coming along and going, "Oh, that's a really place to keep my cows."
Yeah, so once I'd built those, then it was a matter of decaying things and turning them into ruins. So the two first buildings I built were turned into farming buildings. It's actually really quite fun to just destroy what you've built.
I think so. I had said, "Oh, just put some outlines of some vague buildings and have a few walls," and you're like, "No, no, no! I'm going to build an entire small thing of what you've done, and then I'm going to ruin it." And I was like, "Okay, well, that's going to take you a lot longer." And you're like, "Yep," but I must admit, your way looks way better.
Well, uniform, otherwise it wouldn't have looked like a resort, and the narrative wouldn't have worked the same. So they had to look like your building that had then been destroyed.
Yeah, and yeah, that making the whole thing and then tearing it down slightly. I mean, it's only a little bit more effort, but it really did add to it.
Yeah. So then once I was finishing off ruining and turning all of those into farms and things, you came along and ruined the dock for us.
So yeah, then I came along and helped by distressing the dock, So you can see I had actually quite a lot of fun just trying different shapes with the different spruce. So like now that now that stairs can become waterlogged, you can see there's little patches where the water comes through. But what I've always done is made sure there's half a block underneath so that no matter where you are, you can still walk across the whole thing without having to jump.
And then it came to the final bit where the trouble with swamps is that they don't look very alive, and a real swamp would be like full of life. So we decided we had to work out a way of making the underwater just look a little bit more interesting. So this is where we used our dead coral.
Or a little bit as if there was at least life there at some point. So yeah, this tropical place is now full of dead coral and these things. So we did put a couple of sea pickles down for a bit of extra lighting. There's some kelp in there. We really did go.
Yeah, there's some bushes and some moss blocks down there just to add a little bit of colour and texture to the actual under the water section.
And this was another bit where I was like, I'm tired. Can we stop? And you're like, no, we are doing this. And once again, I bow to your greater building knowledge. And these little extra details really add to it and really make it. So yeah, that was really good.
We go have a look at what we built.
Yeah, I'll show you the interior of my little build, and then you can show me the farms that you made. So welcome to the I would say humble abode, but welcome to my rundown little shack that I'm working on. It's a little bit of a work in progress. Mind your step, the stairs are a little bit slippery. As you can see, all of the security is in place. But
Good.
can you hear that?
Yeah.
That's the hidden zombie, and you can hear him throughout most of the build. It's brilliant, and he does genuinely still scare me. Occasionally, you'll hear him walk over the pressure plates, and you'll hear like random door and like that random door noises go.
Perfect for a scary, spooky base.
Oh god, it adds so much atmosphere. Like the little sofa and yeah, and the campfire, the little not very well used campfire.
It's not lit. There's a problem.
I love how the water's really dirty, even in the cauldron.
Even in the cauldron.
And yeah, just all the little details. See it up here. Up here. Get up there. We've got our little sunbeds.
You can go sun ourselves.
Yeah. And yeah, just all these little details. Mind the hole in the ceiling.
Found a cobweb. I'm falling.
I'll meet you there.
Anytime now.
There's a little Miranda. And the little bed's made with the orchids. The orchid dye.
And a little balcony.
And a little balcony there. So look out for what would have been the sea originally, as you can see the ocean in the distance over there. And yeah, just cute little thing. And then of course down here, oh, before we do that, we've got this little balcony as well.
Oh, well, you can see the rest of your beautiful build.
See the rest of the resort. That's the bit that you did. And then down here we've got mine shaft and storage. If I can just get down here. I can still hear the zombies. So loads of storage. And I just really love this dripping. So it turns out, like, you can't even put like a layer of slabs. I was gonna do like
no, you
like
can't.
a wood ceiling. But yeah, just even an extra layer of slabs stopped the dripping. So yeah. That was quite a challenge to build this without drowning. And then yeah, down there you got the mine shaft.
I've got stuck in cobwebs again. I'm fine now, don't worry.
And yeah, so that was a cute little build, very functional. You've got plenty of storage. Great for a little starter. So if you want to show me the farms and the bits that you made.
Yeah, I built us some farms. We'll walk along our very long dock to our first set of buildings. To your left and right are 2 replica buildings that would have once been beautiful holiday apartments, which are now not.
And again, just so many vines and leaves and that overgrowth.
Yeah. So this is one that the roof's fallen in, but that's fine because it's perfect for farming.
Oh, definitely, yeah. And again, because you built up the whole of the house and then ruined it, you really get a sense of the building that was there. Whereas
Yeah.
if you'd done my idea of just sticking a few walls in it,
We'd
it
have had a wall.
it wouldn't have looked nearly as good.
So this is in a slightly better state, this building.
Yeah, a little bit of the roof left.
Yeah.
I do really like this water pool that you've got over here, and I did wonder, after you put it in, I did wonder about putting some in the main build. So
Yeah.
if anyone makes these builds, that's a really cute, these little water patches inside the build's a really cute idea. Yeah, plenty of growing space for all your different crops.
For all of the crops, yes. And then this way, further down the dock, to your left, we have cows, llamas, and horses.
Oh, so this is the swimming pool.
So this is what would have been once a swimming pool. I had to put sneak lighting into the sides because we didn't have sea lanterns, and I didn't want mobs spawning down there.
Well, yeah, because we limited ourselves to what we could get hold of in survival.
Yeah.
So in future, when you get hold of things like a sea lanterns or
Sea lantern would be
glowstone,
perfect.
you'd
Yeah.
swap that out.
Yeah.
Look at the cows trying to escape.
I very carefully put that so that they couldn't. And then this is where we keep our person that lives here has their horse and their trader llamas with chests.
Yeah, look at the little baby.
And I made a baby. And the other side is more animal pens, and this is where I put sugarcane as well.
Okay,
So we've got
this is
chickens in the jacuzzi.
That's the jacuzzi, okay.
And sheep in the spa rooms.
Okay, so this was the spa wellbeing centre.
Yeah.
So that's where you could go and get your massages, your jacuzzi, get your nails done.
And now you can get
stuff.
eggs and sheep. And this was our dock with that would have once been like a reception welcome area to the resort. It's not really in use anymore.
So I think this is a really good example of taking a storyline and running with it. Because without that narrative of this resort being taken over, we would never have thought to put in this little build.
Yeah,
and this reception area. Yeah,
there's some little storage if you wanted storage, before you go on your explorations. Or it could, if you were on a server, it would make a nice little shop.
Yeah. And then more of these cute little seats.
Sun lounges.
Little campfire area. And then the actual dock.
The actual dock. Complete with boats.
Yeah, we got quite a lot of use out of those.
We did. Turns out building in a swamp is quite slow. There's a lot of water.
We were quite lucky that we'd picked a swamp that was close to a lot of other biomes that were quite useful, so it wasn't too arduous. But yeah,
that's a tour of the abandoned starter base.
Yeah, I'm really pleased with it.
Yeah, like I said earlier, I didn't think we could pull it off, but we did.
So I am personally really, really happy with this build. This is like one of the best things I've ever made. But I'm pretty noob to a lot of this, so
it's a really cool concept, and I really like it. And I think we did a good job.
Yay! Yeah, I'm very happy with it, and hopefully you'll really like it too. If you do use any of the concepts of this, we've shown you the step-by-step processes and then how to ruin it, like whether you make this build and not ruin it. We'd also love to see maybe you might actually make this into an actual resort on a beach somewhere in Minecraft instead of a swamp.
That would be Cool.
Yeah, it would like it's really nice to see some of these places moved to different biomes and use different local materials. It's amazing how different local materials make, the different materials that you use make such a difference to a build. But anyone on our Curious Craft server, if you find this build and no one has claimed it yet, you may claim it as your own. So do keep an eye out if you find it.
Yeah, so it's probably time for us to head off to our next one.
Yeah. So we're going to abandon this abandoned resort and move on.
Move on to the next place.
Some new ideas. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. Yeah, if you've got any ideas, anything that you want to see in the future, any biomes that you're particularly interested in, or any styles, do let us know in the comments. Don't forget, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And stay curious.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.